even if, well, hardly any flies. I mean, yes, the butterflies are kind of okay, but like there's basically no wasps. Anyway, it's like, and there's like been hardly anybody around at all the last 3 months. But when I walk along lanes like this, the sun is this and that. It is just so fucking beautiful. It really is. And, you know, I'm not the sort of person, in terms of national parks, and I've no interest in this one. None. Zero. Absolutely zero. Mainly because the truth of it is that even 100 years ago, when was it established? I think 53 or something like that. This region, I had no idea that, I mean, there's a reason that the very, very awful writer Michael Morpurgo lives here. It's because this region, I didn't know, had been colonised over 100 years ago by the rich aristocratic twats. And so, you know, they inputted into this national park, which is probably the most unfriendly in various ways. I have zero interest. Anyway, it's not, this isn't the fucking environment. There's too many people within 50 miles. But here's the point. Yeah, it's like the Brecon Beacons National Park, massive. The large region that wasn't a national park, but that's got Herrick Hill in. I mean, there I saw the worst environmental crimes ever committed. And they had a woman PR who would put up this signage around. And so I've got no interest in this one. This one always will have had this kind of, oh, but we once had a state, so we steward it perfectly. Bullshit. I've no interest in this one. But I've no interest in any British national park because there's no hope. Because, no, I mean, over actually longer than 15 years, 20 years, the way that the mainly incomers administered the Brecon Beacons National Park was evil. It was all a con. And that's what my years of wandering and noticing and sometimes trying to do things. You know, okay, let's do this one, even though, you know, in 2010, and usually I was in the lowlands for a few years. I was stuck in total bereavement, and I was in a little caravan, kind of in the middle of nowhere, but not far from the Y, and I would go down often to the Schedule 2 Shingle Beach, a third of a mile downstream from where the Hollybush Inn was. Oh, there's a vehicle there. And yeah, this large organisation a little bit further down who had land, they had some horses, but they decided to put in a massive, I'm talking about massive, almost like half a football field sized, I guess, yard upon which to do equestrian things, but largely for visitors. And they would go down. So you had a shingle beach area, yes, from about here to that road at the end. And it was just small shingle, and that was a Schedule 2, which is about, well, it's the second most protected habitat in the country, where the little plover, little pathetic plover, little ringed plover would nest. And the owners of this land would go down at 6 o'clock in the morning to the river with a JCB and a probably about a 20-ton tractor and trailer, and they would pull out 20, no, but it'll be more, it would have been about 50 tons at a time of shingle to use building the base of their yard. I bet you they will have taken 20 or 30 trailer loads out. And I got film of them doing this. And I mean, that's so illegal. Now, I couldn't say a word because they would have seen me over the last couple of years walking a lot, and cycling back and forth into town. You can look up. I was like actually frightened in that if anybody'd seen me occasionally going down there and hiding in the grass, filming them. But here's the thing: there's something more evil than those evil environmental wreckers, which is 3 times using, first 2 times using anonymous email addresses set up to do so. I wrote into Brecon National Park saying, I can't, my name cannot. In fact, if the police even have this film, they will automatically assume the people who are doing this, even though they'd never met me, that it would be me, because I would walk in that area, and I'd be cycling back and forth sometimes, because so they'd automatically assume it. So I've got some film of this happening. I can't tell you my name unless you somehow promise, well, you're going to actually have to help me move my caravan somewhere else, because I will not be safe. So a couple of times I sent that in. And then about 2 months later, there was some canoeists going down, and I just got chatting to one of them. And he said he worked for the Brecon Beacons National Park. So I actually told him face to face. I looked up and told him when I sent the emails in, I said I've had no reply. I gave him a phone number, which is essentially not Googleable or anything. And no, they do nothing. They are evil. I mean, many times I found this with the Brecon Beacons National Park. They are literally evil, but they go into their office, wherever it is, in Brecon or wherever, and they'll have loads of money spent on their IT and their computers and their blah, 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 and they're just there to write a false version of what they do. And I bet you they will have employed 50 people. And it's merely to get in more money and to get in tourists, who then are going to, unfortunately, and I've done it a couple of times myself, despoil that river by going down far too often in canoes. There comes a point where you have to limit it. And but Brecon Beacons National Park, I mean, I can't point to events in this one, are literally evil. 30 years ago, 27 years ago, I should say, living in the place opposite from the campsite by Hay, there'd be tons and tons of rubbish left outside the campsite, and they put it in flimsy black bags, and this is within the Brecon Beacons National Park, and they would put it out the night before the bins, and so the foxes would come, or the badgers, and there'd be litter fucking everywhere, right next to the SSSI that is the riverbank along the wire. And the Brecon Beacons National Park, I mean, anybody could have seen this. It's like, I'm sure people did report it in. I was a bit too distracted with a child and ill mother, but they do nothing. And plastic bags left all over the farmers' plastic, black plastic left all over the tops. They're literally evil. There is nothing worse than the smug fucking Welsh fucking tourist organisation that sits there and has learnt how to do some PR and spin. Oh, we have this amazing natural resource and all of this, but they do not give one shit, which is why that whole area is just destroyed. There you go, so be it. And let's not be Welshist. I'm quite sure it's exactly the same. Oh yes, I've had experience of Scotland. It's exactly the same in Scotland. The Gillies own everything. It's exactly the same in Shropshire Hills, outstanding natural beauty area, where the gamekeepers were filmed killing wild birds of prey, and it was sent into the court. It was actually sent into the court by SAS guys who'd been around the area, and the court did nothing. Gamekeepers, Shropshire, area of outstanding natural beauty, Shropshire Hills, Stiper Stones round there, just the same. The whole system, they do nothing. They didn't prosecute those gamekeepers. You know, this has been going on for decades. And the 40-year-olds, they just sit there and say, oh, we're doing it because we've got a new little organisation that's going to protect that little that little pond there. Excuse me, there's something called the tree of life, and you've got to deal with kind of all of it within your 10 to 20 kilometre circle, and it means you have to fight a lot, and it's dangerous. And that judge, whoever he was, who found it against the applicant, whoever the applicant was, to try and get that. Well, it was probably the CPS. To try and get that the gamekeeper who was filmed poisoning birds of prey, proper ones, peregrines. If that judge is corrupt, then you have to attack that judge, as I did with Headley. Actually, I liked Justice Headley, who was the third most famous judge out of the RCJ, but he was actually the most famous because he did all the BBC spin for the whole of that whole RCJ personal law system. No, you have to attack them. Sorry, but it's not personal. It's never personal. But it's risky. It's risky. If you're actually going to be a wildlife steward, if you're actually going to be a rewilder, it's risky. It's tough because there's quite a lot of people who just want to keep it as it is, just total destruction, otters, birds of prey, etc. And they know who you are, and unless you really do keep to your little own duck pond, you know, they'll have your card marked, particularly when you're in the proper environment. Blah blah blah. I've gone on forever, but there we go.